Yo, party people in the place to be. What's good? It's the number one Chief Rockin' Knicks Universe, your main man, Uncle Freezy. Welcome to Knicks Freestyle. Y'all know what it is. It's the place for those unbiased, untainted opinions on those tough topics that a lot of people in Knicks Universe shy away from. But since this is Knicks Freestyle, you know we ain't running from nothing. Let me bring you in a guy. Let me bring in the creator, the producer, the on-air talent, somebody that I kind of consider a friend in this Knicks universe. We a main man, one of the smartest guys in Knicks universe, Free Key.
What up? Yo, Freezy always makes me feel like I'm running for president.
Hey, man. Why run for president when you can walk for president? You know what I'm saying? When you can stroll for president, when you can high step for president. You know
Thanks.
Yeah, man. Hey, man. So I want to just get down to the nitty gritty since we have limited time. So before I do that, let me first say, if this is your first time watching the channel, please subscribe. We have a newsletter attached that just started this week. We have audio podcasts on all the podcasting platforms. You'll see them right there in the Flickr. It's the second joint where you can check out all the stuff. We have a online marketplace. You see Swagoo, it's a box at the bottom, Swagoo, and then in the third box you'll see all of our shows: Knicks Freestyle, Old School Knicks, Knicks Morning Drive, the Knicks at Night podcast. All of those, we do all of those on this channel, and basically we have different on-air talent for each. So if it's your first time coming through, check us out, subscribe to the channel, so that you'll be, and turn the notifications on so you'll be notified anytime that we go live and you won't miss any of the content that we provide for you. Hey, Free Keith, you ready to chop it up?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So, does Jalen Brunson have something to prove in this 2023 NBA playoffs?
You know what's so wild? On paper, I would say no. Like, I feel like all things equal, he's as a number two option, or he's already proven himself in the playoffs.
Okay.
Against the same guy that he's meeting. This is on paper, though. This is on paper. Against the same guy that he's about to come up against now. So really, on paper, if Brunson didn't come up as major, you could just look at them as being equal, him and Spider. So, but I feel like once you add perception into everything, like, it's been made to be this battle between, like, who got Spider and who didn't get Spider. So that kind of puts Brunson in a weird position, because kind of like, it's almost like he's still not considered the superstar that Spider considered.
Right.
So I think, like, he has something to prove in that, like, now he's leading his own team. He was able to come up big against him as not, you know, in a second fiddle position, but now he has to prove that dominance, because, like, that's really the only way for for him to kind of wash the season, like, oh, like, you know, missing out Spider wasn't missing the dominant talent. You know, it might have been an equivalent talent, but like, oh, Brunson is legitimately a superstar. So, like, I feel like he's got he probably has a lot of stuff to prove after all the slighting that he was getting all season.
Okay. Okay.
Probably not going to be all NBA. No All-Star vote. And clearly his performance, everyone says, should have put him in both.
Should have put him in both. Right. What about the little things? What about Jalen Brunson proving to NBA royalty that he can run his own team? Is that something worth proving?
I don't know that that's something worth proving, honestly. Like that might be cool as like maybe a personal want, but I can't see how that like is something I put as a must prove type situation. Like
Okay.
I feel like that's more like icing on the cake, kind of.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in terms of proving, I really think like if everything apples to apples and orange to oranges, he really doesn't have. He shouldn't have anything to prove.
He shouldn't have anything to prove.
But perception adds a different layer to the whole thing.
Right. For some people, perception is reality, right? For some people, it's not about what's really happening. It's what people think is happening, right? My thing with Jalen Brunson, and I just want to continue down this road just a little bit, not to say extend the point, but does Jalen Brunson have some to prove to people that he is a NBA superstar, and can the NBA and this is a deeper question that I think people don't understand. Can the NBA stand a guard being a superstar for the New York Knicks? I ask you that question because a superstar guard for the Knicks is rare. Don't know if we've ever had a mega star at the guard position for the Knicks. Can the NBA? So does Jalen Brunson have to prove to the world that a superstar does he have to prove to the world that the Knicks can have a superstar at the guard position?
Why would that's a weird question to ask. Like, why would he feel that the Knicks need something to prove behind that? Like, and how does that push it into his mind as what he has to prove? That's what the Knicks got to prove. Like, right. He can only do his job, but like, I can't see him being too pressured by what the Knicks have to prove as an organization.
Well, the reason for that,
I'd be more concerned with that if Randle was still leading the charge. I'd be more concerned with that because he seemed like the type of like, oh, everything is on his shoulders type. Right. I don't see Brunson like that. Like he seems level-headed.
Right. But here's the thing. Over the years, over the decades, I would even venture out and say, the Knicks as an organization has always seemed to have been, or have the reputation to have been, and in theory be a step behind progress. Whatever is progressing in the NBA, the Knicks seem to be a step or two behind. And it's not because the guys aren't smart. It's merely, in my opinion, as a fan of basketball, as a fan of the NBA, as a fan of the Knicks, that the Knicks' ego keeps them a step behind. We don't need that. We're the mecca of basketball. Regardless of what everybody else is at, we don't have to shoot three-pointers, man. This is the mecca. We don't need a dynamic point guard, man. Cats will love to come here. This is the mecca. Everybody want to play here. It's certain themes that you hear over the years that make you think that maybe this time, the Knicks are not falling into that trap, so to speak, of we like our place being better than everyone else. Is that accurate?
I think that there's a top down. I think that there's a difference in vibe from the top down.
Okay.
I know you've mentioned it before, and I know some cats hate it. Although, like when they first came in, it was heralded, but they seem to keep everything and as much as they can in house.
Okay.
And don't talk.
Right.
That's immediately un-Knicksy. That's immediately an un-Knicksy thing, traditionally un-Knicksy thing to do. First thing any of our front offices do is run to the podium and talk.
Right.
Cool. Difference in vibe. Tibbs provides something, whether you're one of the fans that feel like Tibbs is our Mark Jackson or whatever it is, but like the seriousness that Tibbs brings to the game, you think that he's really going to be at some place and put up with like the shenanigans how we were moving before?
No.
Not at all.
No, I think those 2 points are divergent. What I'm asking is does Jalen Brunson need to prove that the New York Knicks are chic, that the New York Knicks are in step with the rest of the NBA?
I feel like I don't think he needs it. I don't think he needs to prove that specifically, because really, like, by winning literally is the proof of all of that. So, like, I could see maybe he feels pressure to win, but he seems like a winner for winner's sake kind of guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like, oh, I need to win to make the Knicks look better. I doubt that that's the pressure that he's feeling. The winning will have also the additional benefit of doing just that.
Right.
You win, you prove your system was better.
Right. Does Jalen Brunson need to prove to the NBA front offices that he should have been a first-round pick?
No. Because you can't. If he's using that as personal motivation, fine. That's great. Like, as one of his little motivational building blocks.
One of the chips on his shoulder, maybe.
Chips on his shoulder, cool. Yeah. But he doesn't have to prove that. You can't turn back time. Like, he that is not going to affect him going forward. Meaning, like, whatever their perception of him of him was 5 seasons ago when he came in.
Okay.
Or 4 seasons ago when he came in, like, that might be, personal motivation, but I don't see that as, like, really something to prove.
Something to prove. Okay. The reason why I asked those questions is, like, I searched for some type of motivation for Jalen Brunson. Notice I said modern NBA point guard for the Knicks. Notice I said chip on the shoulder. Notice I said lead a team. You know what I'm saying? So I was grasping at something like, does Jalen Brunson have something to prove to the NBA by this team being in the playoffs? Now, here's the thing. If we set the Jalen Brunson topic aside and talk about Julius Randle just for a moment, right? Julius Randle, for the most part, is old school game, right? Julius Randle is old school game. 6'8", 6'9". No, hear me out. 6'8", 6'9", power forward. And because I'm going to get to the 3-point shooting part, right? But I just want to point
Mm-hmm.
to I just want to
Very important part.
yeah, but
Yeah.
let me build the point though. So Julius Randle is an old school power forward in that he rebounds the ball at a high rate. He barely ever misses games. He has to be legit injured to miss a game. Unlike other stars in the NBA, he does not take load management days. It's an old school aspect to his game, right? Also, an old school aspect to his game is he takes nothing for granted. I think Julius Randle's mindset is that any day now, all of this can be taken away, and he has to climb up the mountain again versus a first-round pick where everything is given to them from day one, and they're like the keys to the franchise is given to him. Whereas Randle played for 2 teams before this one, had to climb his way up up the mountain, get knocked down, climb back up again, get knocked down, climb back up again, and he knows that the climb is so steep and it's so hard to get there that he works his behind off to be there, right? Is his offensive game perfect? No. Do people like that, you know what I'm saying, that mentality? Maybe it may rub people the wrong way. It may be, you know, in this era of draft a kid, tank. In this era of tank, draft a kid, give him the keys. We see a guy like Randle who climbed up the mountain from out of nowhere, similar to the Jerry and Grant in Portland. So serious to some guys that take 4 or 5 years to get to a certain level, right?
Now, but see, he wasn't. But in my opinion, though, like Randall was never like subpar.
No, he was never subpar.
You know what I'm saying? He was good and got better.
But the point I was getting at is the opportunities were never handed to him. He had to earn all of his opportunities.
Definitely.
Is what I'm saying to you, right? Whereas guys drafted 1 or 2, the opportunity is immediately handed to them and they get the keys to the. Now with that said, around the NBA, that is not the most fashionable. That's not the most fashionable or the most popular star for a team. Most teams like high flying guys that can dunk, shoot the 3, have their own shoe, signature shoe, drafted early in the draft, top 5, have highlight packages, have commercials, national, international commercials. Randle is with Randle not being that. Does Randle have something to prove to the NBA universe, and that he should be in that category of those that get the national, international commercials and get all the praise and all of that stuff, similar to guys like Jason Tatum?
That'll handle itself, but like I'm gonna tell you, you know my position. You know my feelings on Randall. That's my guy. I think that he's the best player on the team, and I'm loving to see his rise. But I think of anybody on the team, the person who has the most to prove during this here playoff run is Randall. Is Randall.
All right. Before you give your answer,
and when I say most to prove, I don't even mean to be like, oh, he got to prove to us that he can play out his mind. He just cannot give up another Harden-esque performance.
Okay, yeah, that's what I want. I want to phrase it so that we can split both points and speak to both of them separately. You mind if I do that?
Let's do it.
Right. Because I think there is a redemption song that can be written, right? And then there is a. You ever saw that movie 8 Mile when Eminem does the song Lose Yourself? Like in this moment, you know you have all the talent, you're just as good as everybody else, But in these moments, you often have these failures that are self-inflicted, but you know you're good, and now it's time for you to step out and prove to the world that you're just as good or better than everyone else. Let's speak to that lose yourself moment first, like what you were about to speak to, and then I want to table the redemption song part, because the redemption song part is after everything occurs and you look back on it. Did you have the redemption song that you wanted? Let's speak to the lose yourself moment, because you said Harden-esque, right? All right. So what has to occur for Randle, right? What has to?
I feel. Mm,
Okay, go ahead, bro.
no, that's what I'm saying. I don't want you to confuse it. It's not like I'm saying that Randall has to put on a superstar performance. I'm not saying that is the standard. What I'm saying, what Randall cannot do, what he cannot do is give us another performance subpar like the last playoff run, while he's surrounded with a better team and did even better during the season. That's, I think he's gonna show up. Trust me. I think he's gonna show up, but I feel like he individually has the most to prove.
Okay. 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 So what would it?
But I think he'll show up, because this is a totally different makeup of team. So like, we were not a balanced squad then. This is a way more balanced team.
Okay. So what would it take? What would it take for you to consider this to be a bounce back for Randle? What would it look like? What's a bounce back look like?
Oh, yeah, yo, give me whatever mid-season work he was given. Give that up in the playoffs. I'm good.
Okay.
Keep that party going. I'm all right.
Okay. Okay. All right. What I would say, in my opinion, I agree with you, right, on this. And for the record, everybody, Free Keith and I are agreeing on just about everything. And this is like the first time in like 3 shows.
And ever.
Yeah, and for the record, Free Keith, I don't know if I told you, but I started the newsletter Monday, and my first written article on for the Blurns Tears newsletter is the Hive, and how you came to my defense and saved me from the Hive. Yeah. For those that don't know, Free Keith and I were on Twitter, and it was like a ballroom brawl against Hives, and the original Hives. And people don't know. I think people think Frank Ntilikina is the original Hive, but it's not. The original Hive on Twitter is actually the Pablo Prigioni, Alexei Shved, Ricky Lito.
Alexei definitely had a freaking Hive, yo.
Yes, they had a group together.
But I like the Shved, though. He was right.
Yeah. You remember that Jose Calderon? Remember the Jose Calderon, Pablo Prigioni Hive? They were mad at Ray Felton and Carmelo Anthony. They like take Ray Felton off the team and run Euroball.
Phil Jackson really was trying to set us up, yo. Wow.
Right. Yeah.
Had us out here culting after like Jose Calderon and Frank Ntilikina. But nobody had a church like Frank, though.
No, nobody had a church like Frank.
I've never seen what happened with Frank with anybody else, at least as a Knicks fan, in ever. I've never seen that.
Right. But you know what though? The Hive started with Prigioni, Calderon, Shved. I mean, not Shved. I keep saying Shved, but it started with Calderon, Prigioni, Ricky Lito, and one other player, right? And what happened is they were so entrenched in playing the Euro style that every time I picked up my phone legit had 20 You know, Twitter sends you caps you at 20 notifications, right? Every time I looked at my phone, it was at 20 notifications. Every time, every day,
Wow.
every day, every day. But I say that to say I did the Hive thing, and so the Hive article is out there, and I even shouted out the Trevor Keels Hive, right?
No, oh yeah, word. He definitely has a little following.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, he does. He
Yes.
does have a Hive. So I shouted out the Frank Hive, the Euro Hive, and the Carmelo Anthony Carmelo Anthony scored 10,000 points and did not have a Hive. How do you score 10,000 points for the Knicks and not have a Hive? Right?
I think Melo has a hive. Those same cats. The Hive is the same people who are. I don't know if you notice, like them cats who still kind of throw in like, oh, I would take Carmelo now, like pick up Carmelo, get Carmelo now, like there's dudes who still want him back.
Yeah, they must be a quiet Hive.
Some of these, check the chat. I'm sure something there. I'm sure.
They must be like They must be like the Lutheran Church. They're big, but they're quiet. That must be what it is.
That's not funny.
But I got another question for you, right? So if Brunson basically has nothing to prove, right? And Randle can prove everybody can prove to everyone that 2021 was a fluke. Does that mean he gets his redemption song for this year, or do you
let me tell you something.
Need to see a deep run in the playoffs for him to get a redemption?
No, yeah, this is what I'm saying. This is not even about wins and losses, right? There's team narratives and then there's individual narratives. Right. The team loses in 6 or 7, but we fight hard, we fought hard. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like if people showed up, the other team like it was just too much to overcome. Spider being a superstar, cool. I'm not like that'll be an emotional loss. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't like losing, right. But I couldn't hold it against anybody. And like to me, then okay, cool. Maybe there might be some moves to make in the off season. Right. Now, if the team loses on the back of Randle not coming up smaller than he did during the season, right. That's what I'm saying. I don't even need him to overcome that. Just regular season Randle. If you falling below that standard, I'm side-eyeing.
Yeah. And you know what?
I'm side-eyeing.
And you know what? And this is for multiple reasons. Because if you are who you say you are, a superstar, right? Then these moments shouldn't be too big for you, right? I mean, Chad, am I wrong?
He's never look. In fairness, I've never heard the man call himself a superstar.
Right.
I've never heard the man call himself a superstar.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm not gonna say like, oh, that's like he's trying to prove that he's a super. I actually don't want him to prove nothing about being no superstar. Just play your game, Randall. I don't want no proven superstar nothing.
Right, but he does want to be the guy to get the Knicks to the promised land. He does want to be the guy to get.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Right.
I'll take that.
And so, if we call it, we can call it like different things. But in order for you to do that, man, you got to be a star. You got to be a star, man. So
you got to be a star, but you got to be a star among stars, among other stars. Like, right. Like you can't be a lone star doing it for yourself by yourself.
Right.
And he's not that anymore, and still looking like the best player on the team in terms of like weapon.
Right. Right. All right. So if Randall, if all Randall has to do is be the star that he is, because he is a star. He's a two-time All-Star. He'll probably be All NBA, right? If Randall's not All NBA, it'll be the biggest crime since DJ
Crime. I'm rioting.
Yeah,
I'm rioting.
It'll be the biggest crime since Brinks.
That'll be like
the crime.
That'll be like state level hate.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I feel you. I feel you on that, right? But
like he could, but all he has to do is be regular, and that will be enough for me.
But regular for him, not regular for an average NBA player.
No, regular for him. That's what I mean. Right. Regular for him. Regular all-star level play.
Right.
Just keep your head and stay level. Cool. Win or lose, I'm not putting it on you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, as long as the losses, it can't be put on him.
Right. Right. No, I absolutely 100% agree. In terms of that, I mean, I'm with you.
Now, I do have some others as well. I don't think Randall is the only one that this playoffs is a kind of like a pivotal playoff.
I got you, but I want to do it in sequence though. I got you. I want to do it in a sequence. Though that way we won't go back and forth like a cameo song, or for people that's younger, back and forth like an Aaliyah song. You know what I'm saying? So let me ask this before that, because I'm with you on the lose yourself moment with Randall. Just being who he is good enough, right? And the redemption song part, I disagree slightly, right? I would like for Randall to have a moment in the playoffs. Now, right? Right. Let me give you the example. For instance, what would give Randall the redemption song in the heart of Knicks fans is a hard-fought game where Julius Randle puts the team on his back down the stretch and does something elite level. I think from then on, he'll get his redemption song. People will talk about that from years to come. You know what I'm saying? Like for instance, I think Knicks fans have already forgotten about the game when he hit in Miami. The is this your king moment over Jimmy Butler? You know what I'm saying?
Because quietly, Knicks fans still don't really like Randle.
I know, and for that,
they begrudgingly what you call it, because they can't hate on his performance, go along with it. But they all like there's a contingent of fans that's just waiting for him to fail, bro.
Right, and for that reason, I say he's got to do something in order to get his redemption song. For that right there, what you just said.
Well, for them, really, like, if that's his aim for them, if he's proving something to them, right. Like him being All-Star Randall is enough.
It should be enough, but it's not.
No, I'm saying All-Star Randall, All-Star level, bro. Like, see, that's when the other guys come into play. And one in particular, actually, who I'm thinking is a major X factor.
Okay. Right. Well, let me say this about the Randall thing. His
redemption part, real quick. Sorry, his redemption part is the part that we would like to see.
Right.
But the redemption part isn't going to change his future on the Knicks.
No, it's not. It's not.
That's what I'm saying. There's a bare minimum part that will, and his performance. If he maintains his performance, he's cool.
Right. Right.
The redemption part is what we'd like to see. You know what I'm saying? For like, we want him to be, we would like to see someone legendary and see, you know what I'm saying? Rise from the ashes, whatever. But like, that's really more for us. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Nah. No, what I'm getting at is exactly what you're saying. I think Knicks fans feel like Randle has dug such a deep hole. It'll take a miracle for him to get out with them, right? A lot of Knicks fans are like, man, they don't even. Randle can win them a championship, and it don't.
And they'll be like, oh, I bet you can't do it again.
Right. So yeah, that's the thing. They just don't like Randle, and it has nothing to do with the hole he dug or the mountain he climbed, whichever way you phrase it. They just don't like Randle, right? But let me ask this. Let me ask you this, just for the sake of the conversation, because we're headed that way, and I didn't want to skip anything because I want to do these things in a certain order. All right. So Brunson has nothing to prove, right? Just saying if Brunson has nothing to prove, and if Randle can just play his game to prove that he's for real, right? Does the Knicks organization have anything to gain from a deep playoff push? Not championships. I'm not talking about on the floor. I'm talking about in terms of perception.
What kind of question is that? Of course, the people that need us to actually win and move to the next and get to at least the second round. The second round is the front office. Like those are the people who need the team to win.
Okay.
And individual, what you call it, is not going to be enough to shake the front office tree of individual accomplishments. Like the team that they put together has to win. The team has to beat Spider to make them not look like, you know what I'm saying, to clean up the Spider debacle.
Right. Let me say this. I'm gonna say this, and this might tickle your fancy some, right? After further review, I'll admit I'm wrong, or not even wrong, because I'll admit I'm incorrect on a lot of things. Instead of being wrong, which is like a feeling, I'll say I'm incorrect on a lot of things. I think Leon Rose and Leon Rose's front office should be considered for Executives of the Year in the NBA.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Right,
I'm glad you mentioned that.
And the reason being is because there were a lot of moves that were made that made the team better. If you start at the draft and July 1, when things became official, and not just look at the trade deadline with Josh Hart, if you look at everything from the offseason all the way through today, I think the Knicks front office outpaced every other organization in the NBA, and it may not even be close. And I don't want to hear about a Kyrie trade. I don't want to hear about a Kevin Durant trade. Those are easy because if you have a lot of draft picks and you have a mega star, they're easy to swap, right? But what I'm saying is when you're in a bad situation, can you dig yourself out of a terrible situation and put yourself in a great situation in less than 12 months? And I think the Knicks did that.
Let me tell you something. I'm going to ask you a question. What was the Knicks, the front office, biggest move in that time period you mentioned? Like, what was their most impactful move? What was the most impactful move?
Moving on from Nerlens Noel. In my mind, moving on from Nerlens Noel and Kemba Walker.
Not signing Brunson.
No, right. I get what you're saying. I think the most impactful.
No, I'm asking. Yeah, I mean, but okay, we could be walking around with cap space right now after doing that move. What did they use that move for?
But hear me out. You got to hear my answer. Hear my complete answer. What I'm saying is I think that move was the most impactful because it paved the way for you not only to get Jalen Brunson, but you also upgraded the backup center position that was a grease fire last year. Last year, Nerlens Noel played 24 games for us, and he made $8 million. And Isaiah Hartenstein, with a more serious injury, played through it and looks by far the better player than Nerlens Noel, right? And also that same move, right, also helped clear cap space for Jalen Brunson, but also move cap space for Josh Hart, right? So if you don't do that move, do you have the room to just maneuver for Jalen Brunson? I think Jalen Brunson is definitely the upgrade of the offseason, but we can't discount what Isaiah Hartenstein did in a replacement for Nerlens Noel and Taj Gibson, and you can't underestimate how good a move the Josh Hart upgrade over Cam Reddish is.
Okay, they do all of that. They do all of that to get and pick up like Brogdon, let's say, and pick up Brogdon. We have the same season, you think?
No. I mean, Emmanuel quickly is the first point guard.
So does that make that Nerlens Noel move and this, that, and the other that impactful?
I still believe that move because
you still make that move, but you get somebody else.
No, I think those two moves go together. What I'm saying is this. I think
they don't go together because they could have gotten somebody else, bro. They did. The point I'm trying to get at, the talent evaluation. I know a lot of y'all talk about nepotism, CAA, this, that, and the other. At the heart of it, these guys are talent evaluators, and what we're seeing is among some of the best talent evaluators we've had in a front office in a very, 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 very long time.
Right.
For example, IQ and Grimes are both 25th picks.
Okay.
Back to back.
Right.
Back to back.
Right.
These guys are both looking like they're going to be stars.
Okay.
What team do you know ever in NBA history has picked two stars at the 25th pick in back-to-back drafts?
Right, but freaking, I don't want to speak to the draft because
that leads you to a point.
You conveniently left out Obi.
And what is look? Randall's down. What does Obi look like?
Obi looks like a career backup, lucky to be in the NBA.
Who can? Okay. That, to me, the way he was putting out, it looked all right. It looked like he could be. I'm not saying a starter on this team, but he could be a starter on the team. I'm not going to deny the boy that. These guys are great evaluators of talent.
But we were talking about
these guys are great evaluators.
We were talking about Jalen Brunson signing though.
But this is what I'm saying. That was the most important move of the season. That move right there is what I understand, and it's fair. What you're saying is that the move that opened up the space to get that is the more impactful move. Cool, whatever. But I'm talking about like that move had no bearing on who they picked. They still had to evaluate the talent, regardless of relationship or this, that, and the other. They evaluated that man's talent beyond what other league professionals was even saying.
Right.
Like they, more than fans, more than anybody else, they knew that he could do this.
And Freaky, what I'm saying to you is this.
But wait, I want to wrap it around. Let me finish. I would give them Executive of the Year based on like the executives that did like that made the most impact on their teams with like the fewest moves or non-star moves, this, that, and the other. But you know what his biggest move actually is tainted with? Got hit with tampering.
Right. Right.
Lost the second. I feel like Sterling is not going to give him executive or allow. Even though I know it's the media that votes, I don't think that I don't I don't think that he'll get executive of the year.
Because you can't reward him in the same year that you punished him.
Yeah.
Right. Now I get what you're saying, but hear me out. Hear my point on it. The Knicks, I'm telling you, the Knicks front office.
But definitely deserve it. Definitely deserve it.
But what I'm getting at is this front office legit went through a season last year where the team was terrible and veterans did not improve a losing environment. So instead of letting that losing environment fester, they got rid of the losers and brought in a winner. Right? That's what they did. They got rid of the losers on the spot as soon as they had the opportunity to get rid of the dudes that enabled a losing culture. They got them out of here. Right? And they brought in Jalen Brunson. So if you're asking me, you know, if it was the Jalen Brunson move important, yes, it was very important, super important. But I think improving the culture first, because Jalen Brunson is.
No, I'm talking about of this season. As we were talking about executive of the year, it would be for this season.
Yeah,
I'm not like I understand what you're saying, and I agree with it in a whatever, in a big, you know what I'm saying, a bigger way, but specifically to speak to the idea of getting executive of the year this year, which by rights and what you call it, he should, like that, it'll be a no-brainer, but his biggest move is tainted with the tampering.
Right. Things happen. You know. So I think that the front office should be a part of this award tour, right? Because the Knicks are going to be on award tour this summer, in my opinion. I think Randle was all NBA, right? I think Brunson should be considered, though he probably won't make it.
Probably won't make it, but should be all NBA.
I think Quickly should be all NBA defense.
He's definitely sixth man of the year. Definitely should be sixth man of the year.
And I think both Brunson and Emmanuel Quickly should be considered for most improved player. Because if you don't consider Jalen Brunson most improved player, you hadn't been watching NBA basketball. If Jalen Brunson is nowhere in the most improved NBA player conversation, the whole thing is rigged, right? The whole thing is rigged. Because he went from 16 points a game to 25 points a game, and while leading a team that missed the playoffs into the playoffs, right? So now, what do you really? If that's not most improved, I don't know what is. And I know people want to say Larry Markkinen, but how good are the Utah Jazz right now? Exactly, right? If Jalen Brunson is not in the most improved conversation, these awards don't mean nothing, right? And
dude, you know, there's a measure of politics, man. Like you know. Right. It'll be impossible for them to even with things being level and regular to just shower us with awards like that.
Well, you know, the Knicks on an award tour would be nice.
I tell you what, we get legitimately nice, yo. The league is going to be
man, hey, something going on. You got something? Somebody drag racing?
Oh, my fault.
Yeah. So just real quick before we get out of here, you have any thoughts you want to share before we reconvene next week?
I see you didn't get into RJ, but I will let that slide.
Yeah,
I think that's the dude who this is pivotal for.
Well, I mean, you got the time to get into RJ?
I got the time to get into RJ.
Then let's do it. Let's do it then.
All right.
Let's do it.
Now, of the two people that I think have the most to prove this particular very pivotal playoff run is Randall, and I already discussed that,
Right.
and your boy RJ.
Right. Okay.
Normally, I throw Mitch in that mix, but Mitch, this is technically Mitch's first playoff. So, like, although he's the longest tenured Knicks, this is literally the first playoff he'll be playing. So, I give him a break. Now, RJ, I hear that. I understand the reasoning. Oh, he's 22 and
Right.
blah, blah. Cool, I get it. And I like the kid. I think he's talented. I don't think RJ's a bum. But when I look at cats like IQ, when I look at cats like Grimes, like
Right.
especially Grimes, because Grimes in particular still affects the game positively, even when he wasn't hitting. You know what I'm saying? Like his defense is up. You could still count on him for certain things. What can you count on RJ for? You don't know what RJ is giving you night in and night
Yes,
out.
you do.
What?
Yes, you do. It's just not always there. The thing is the thing is
That's his issue, consistency.
I understand that, but it's a team consistency thing. It's not an RJ consistency thing. It's like football fans out there want to throw the deep ball every play. If the deep ball is not always going to be there, right? Sometimes you got to run the football. You got to throw short passes, and then on certain plays, then the deep ball will be there. That's the thing with RJ. RJ Barrett, his game looks ugly because he is a battering ram in the half court. But Knicks fans don't stop to consider what R.J. Barrett looks like in the full court. What does R.J. Barrett look like when the pace of play is up and down? That is where he thrives. At one point, this season, R.J. Barrett was second in the NBA in transition points with like 6.2 transition points a game. Right? That number that number has since dipped, and it's not because R.J. Barrett doesn't run. The opportunities for R.J. Barrett are not there. So when you just look at R.J. Barrett, the battering ram, you're like, oh man, he's a shooting guard that can't shoot, and he's a shooter guard that can't shoot or guard, right? That's the knock on R.J. right? But consider the argument. People are like, well, when Obi get an open floor, Obi is dynamic. Oh, when Obi is in the open floor, Obi is dynamic, not anybody else. Not anybody else. To me, the argument is uneven, especially with R.J. Barrett being in the top 90 percentile in that thing for a large stretch of the season.
I agree with you. To a degree. Because what I will rebut that is, and you and I both know this, is that playoff basketball is different.
Right.
Playoff basketball slows down.
Right.
Playoff basketball is more a half court game.
Right.
Have you seen Rand? I mean not Rand. Have you seen RJ try to ISO? Dude, it's almost laughable.
Right. Right.
He doesn't really have a handle. Like, I love when he has a full head of steam and can charge, because like that's when he uses his best ability, which is his size, and he does have good body control.
Right.
But like, he's gonna get less and less of those opportunities in the playoffs. What else does he offer, bro?
Right. I understand. I understand your point, and it's a valid point. But what I'm saying is this about
All I'm saying, or well, I should say this. This is the consequences I think of what it is. Hold on. Yeah, this is the consequences of what I'm saying and what I see. Right? I see two different scenarios. I see a scenario where like, yo, our guys are locked in and they rock out during the summer. I mean, during the playoffs, and do something exceptional. We do something crazy. Get to like the Eastern Conference Finals, something crazy.
right.
this is side note, sidebar. This is literally the first year that I've done any kind of sports betting ever, and I bet on them to be in the Eastern Conference Finals and the championship game. But yeah, anyway,
Some of the Knicks.
The Knicks.
Yeah.
The Knicks. I wouldn't even bet on all these.
I got a show coming out tomorrow. I'm gonna speak to that. Tomorrow's Thursday, right? Yeah. I'm gonna do the award show tomorrow and the prediction show Friday.
Like, okay, so to finish my actual bar, we go crazy. We get to the Eastern Conference Finals, whatever. We might lose to the Bucks or Boston, whatever it is, right? And we just run it back with everybody because we can literally keep all the kids. If they all showed up, we make no moves over the summer, and we just run it back whole season with the same squad. You know what I'm saying? But now in another timeline, I could see, like, you know what I'm saying, like, oh, it's you know, we do okay, but it looks like somebody was holding us back. I think that particular person, that X factor, is RJ. Meaning, like, if they look like in some games that they got to try to win in spite of him, he then puts himself on the chopping block, I feel like, as trade bait.
That might be a odd narrative, right? Because
what narrative?
Let me. I'm gonna read. I'm looking for. Here it is. In the last 55 games of the season, since November 21st, RJ's averaging 20.5 points a game, 45% from the floor, 33% from three, and the Knicks record is 39-26. And I'm struggling where a team that is 13 games over 500 with RJ Barrett playing is better than a team last year that was in the lottery. I'm sorry, I can't figure. I'm trying to figure that out. How this team this year with RJ Barrett in the lineup is 13 games over 500 is being held back by RJ Barrett when last year the team was in the lottery. And that's the thing I'm struggling to find out. You muted, man. I can't hear you.
By his gameplay during the playoffs is all I'm talking about.
So does he have
playoff
something to prove?
If he goes out there like he got that. It's like 80 degrees out here today, so the lights is out.
Yeah.
Playoff basketball is different basketball. You know this, gangster.
But we're talking about projection, right? We're talking about upcoming.
Yes.
We're talking about in the
and let me tell you something about projection, because there's stats out there. Like, yo, like, dude, they have him and all the other players on the team, like, rated against him, on-off numbers with him with them, him without them. Son, like, he comes up negative on like every person, bro.
Yeah.
I just need to make sure that, like, the playoffs is gonna tell us everything we need to know about what we need to do going forward, and I think it's gonna be one of two things. I think either everybody's gonna get kept, or like a move gonna get made because somebody wasn't stepping up, or somebody didn't step up.
Okay. That's reasonable. Now, I don't think anybody is arguing that. That's reasonable. Hey, Free Keith, I'm going to get out of here because I got some stuff that I got to work on before I do the Knicks at Night podcast, man. Everybody, thank y'all for coming through. It's been a pleasure. Shout out to our main man, the Ghetto Intellect, who's probably somewhere chipping on the 17th green. Probably somewhere with some Air Max golf cleats on, in a Ralph Lauren polo, somewhere looking fashionably fly. You know what I'm saying? Hey, freaky.
I'm going golfing in Jersey on Friday for you, G.I.
Shout out to Jersey. Shout out to God. Shout out to the creator and the producer and the on-air talent, Freaky.